नमस्कार। सर्वप्रथम आज के फेसबुक लाइव में आज मैं जिस विषय पे आपसे रूबरू होकर चर्चा करना चाह रहा हूं वो विषय है आने वाले साल में भारत की तरफ से मिशन आदित्य सूरज के ऊपर जानकारी लेने के लिए भेजा जाने वाला एक स्पेशल सैटेलाइट होगा जिसके बारे में आज हम चर्चा करेंगे। सर्वप्रथम टू बिगिन विथ I would like to say thank you for inviting me to give a talk on the importance and need of Mission Aditya on the Facebook Live from the Atmaram Sanatan Dharma College under the University of Delhi. And I would like to give a special thanks to the principal sir, Professor Dr. Ghantosh Kumar Jha, and the coordinator of the Star College scheme from Atmaram College, Dr. Rajiv Singh, who has extended an invitation for giving you the information and a bit details about what is going to be there, special for India to have a special launch for Mission Aditya. To start with, I would like to show you one of the picture. If you could see the picture on my back, which talks about a image or a picture which is an image of an city which we all can see is a city of New York. If you look at the city of New York, this picture can give us a sufficient idea to all of us that the entire city has gone into a dark. That means there is a blackout which has occurred. And when the investigation was in the place, when it was looked into that why it has happened, the committee started looking into the investigation of is there any manual intervention or anyone who has interrupted the grids, and because of such this kind of blackout has happened. After the investigation, it was revealed that this kind of a blackout is not because of any human intervention, but it is because of the storm, because of the geomagnetic storm which occurred and disturbed, or rather made the grid to be failed. And later on it was discovered in more details that such kind of a blackout can happen on the earth because of the solar flares, because of the violent nature of the sun. And because of such phenomena, we have to be very cautious, as well as we have to keep monitoring the sun so that such kind of an events do not occur in the future. In fact, this is something that we as a people living on the earth are actually able to see such kind of an grid failure only perhaps the intensity of the solar flares are very high. But if you look at the satellites which are moving around Earth's orbit, there are thousands of satellites which are moving in the different polar orbits around the Earth, and they are exposed to such kind of a solar radiation. You will be surprised to know that if we do not really take care of such devastating violent nature of the sun, or we do not monitor the sun in a larger way, there is a chances that all our investment which is there in the space will be at the stake. And hence it is very essential that we keep a track of the behavior of the sun. So it is very essential for all of us to understand what is the sun, why sun becomes so important for all of us. It is not something new that we are not aware about the sun and the nature of the sun, but if you look at the historical aspect of the sun or the study of the sun, right from the time of a space era, right from the time of the first Sputnik which was launched in 1957, sun was at the prime importance for every one of us to explore and understand because of its close proximity to us, and it is a main source of energy to everyone. So basically in this presentation, what I will be talking about, these are all the few points on which I will be talking about to all of you in the next 30 to 35 minutes. I may not be allowed to go in each and every details of this presentation, but I will try my level best to give you the idea that why sun study is so important for all of us. And I will try to convince you that monitoring the sun is very important for all of us. And India is going to put our state into the international era by sending our spatial satellite to observe the sun. The peculiarity and the special importance of the Aditya is also that Aditya will not be launched in any ordinary orbit, but it will be placed at the Lagrangian point L1, which I will also be talking about why the importance of L1 is there. So basically I will be covering about the physical profile of the sun, will cover about the atmosphere of the sun, why the atmosphere of the sun is so important for all of us to study. We'll talk a little bit about the internal structure of the sun, because understanding the internal structure is very essential for all of us, because all the variations that we see in the various aspects of the phenomena that is occurring, the solar flares, when we talk about the solar wind, understanding the intensity, understanding the distribution of energy is very essential for all of us. And in doing so, it is very essential for all of us to know that this can happen only if we understand the sun in more details. So later on we'll also talk about the sun, how the sun is effective, how the sun is making us understand that the magnetic activities happening on the sun is so important for all of us, because sun goes into the highly magnetic activities, and the effect of these activities on earth are also essential for all of us to understand. And the last few slides we will talk about the importance of Aditya, especially the payloads, especially the instruments which will be there on the Aditya and their importance, objective, and what these payloads are going to, or rather the instruments are going to work for. And of course, the talk will be closed with making you understand that sun is another star. Like we also die in a one particular day, the sun is also going to end its life in a days to come. So we'll talk about all this in details. To start with, just to make you understand that sun is an important for all of us, we know that sun is the primary object in our solar system. If we try to understand its magnitude, how big is the sun, then if we compare the sun with the earth, then we'll require about 13 lakhs of earth to just make a one sun. So we understand how big is our sun is. As far as the distance is concerned, it is about 8 minutes away from us. 8 minutes means if we compare the velocity of light, which is about a 3 lakh kilometer, then within 8 minutes the light from the sun reaches to us on the earth. So just we need to multiply amount of seconds that comes out in 8 minutes, multiply it by a 3 lakh kilometer, and that's the distance which comes about 15 crore kilometer for us. Now, what is the importance about the sun? That sun is what we look at the temperature of the sun is about 6000 Kelvin, and at a 6000 Kelvin, if we remember any black body radiation, then at 6000 degree Kelvin, sun radiates almost in the entire electromagnetic radiation. So it is important for all of us to know that when sun radiates in all electromagnetic spectrum, there will be special characteristic within that particular wavelength to understand. So sun's observation in the visible spectrum, sun's observation in a gamma ray, sun's observation in X-ray will give us a variety of understanding as well as the new information by studying these observations and radiation from the sun. To give you the small idea about the physical characteristic of the sun, then the sun is about 14 lakh kilometer in diameter, or about a 7 lakh kilometer in a radius. If we compare the earth is about 6400 kilometer in a radius. So it's almost, if you compare, then the size becomes very huge as far as the sun is concerned. Now the mass, if you look at the sun's mass, then it is about a 10 raised to 30 kg, which is the enormous mass of our sun. So by looking at that, we all know that there is a correlation between the mass and the gravity of the object. If the mass has if the sun has a mass of the order of 10 raised to 30, then it's quite possible to give a logical understanding that the gravity of the sun will be very high. And that's the reason if you look at the gravity of the sun, it's about 274 meter per second square in comparison to 9.8 per meter square of the earth. So the matter which is sitting on the earth is highly been confined to the sun. तो यहाँ पे मैं ये जरूर बताना चाहूँगा कि जो सूरज का जितना द्रव्यमान है, जिसकी वजह से उसका जितना भी मटेरियल है वो सूरज के साथ डटा हुआ रहता है, और इतनी बड़े गुरुत्वाकर्षण की वजह से अगर वहां से कोई चीज को बाहर फेंकना है तो हमें यह स्वाभाविक है जानना होगा कि वहां की एस्केप वेलोसिटी कितनी है, ताकि वो मटेरियल दोबारा सन के सरफेस पे ना आए। यानी वहां पे हमें देखना पड़ेगा इसकी एस्केप वेलोसिटी क्या है। जैसे हमारे धरती की बात करते हैं तो धरती की एस्केप वेलोसिटी 11.2 किलोमीटर पर सेकंड, यानी अगर हम पत्थर को 11 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड की रफ्तार से फेंकते हैं तो वो पत्थर दोबारा धरती पे नहीं आएगा। उसी तरीके से अगर हम सूरज के ऊपर की जो मटेरियल है, अगर उसको हम बाहर निकलने के बाद वो दोबारा ना आने की हम बात करते हैं, तो वहां का जो मटेरियल है उसकी कम से कम वेलोसिटी जो है, कम से कम उसकी जो गति है वो 617 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड से ज्यादा होनी चाहिए। तो यहां से हमें एक स्वाभाविक रूप से पता चलता है कि अगर कुछ भी मटेरियल सूरज से निकलता है तो उसकी मिनिमम वेलोसिटी जो है वो 600 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड। अगर मैं आपको बताना चाहूं तो ऐसी दुनिया में कोई भी चीज हम ऐसे विकसित नहीं कर पाए कि इस तरीके की वेलोसिटी, इस तरीके की वेग को हम अचीव कर पाए। कितने भी हम चीजें ले लें तो इतना हम वेलोसिटी नहीं अचीव कर पाते, except the thought experiment that we talk about. So ultimately what is important for all of us to understand, the sun is really becomes and so bigger in even imagining the star like a sun. Now if you look at the surface temperature of the sun, उसके अगर सतह की तापमान की बात करते हैं तो उसका तापमान लगभग 6000 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड है। यहाँ पे हमें एक चीज जरूर याद रखनी होगी, The surface temperature of the sun is about 6000 Kelvin, but the temperature at the core, of the sun is enormously high, which is about, if you look at the temperature of the sun at the core, then it goes into the millions of Kelvin if you look at the sun. So what becomes more important here to realize that sun is very high temperature star, and when anything comes out of the sun, the matter will have a tremendously high temperature and automatically gives rise to understand that the material will have a very high energy. Now, if we compare the earth and sun for a very long extent, now I am talking about the rotational characteristic. जैसे हमारी धरती अपने अक्ष पे घूमती है 24 घंटे में, एक पूरा चक्कर लगाती है अपने अक्ष पे, उसी तरीके से अगर हम सूरज की बात करते हैं तो सूरज भी अपने अक्ष पे एक चक्कर लगाता है, बट इसका जो चक्कर लगाने का समय है वो हमारे धरती से अलग है. हमारी धरती 24 घंटे में, फिर वो अंटार्कटिक हो या आर्टिक लोकेशन हो, लगभग 24 घंटे में ही पूरी प्रदक्षिणा कंप्लीट, यानी एक स्पिन जो है एक अपनी धरती पे अक्ष पे जो घूमने का समय है वो 24 घंटे में कंप्लीट करती हैं. लेकिन जहां तक सूरज की बात है, सूरज लेकिन इस तरीके से हमें नहीं करते हुए नजर आता है. सूरज को अगर हम देखेंगे तो हमें नजर आता है, सूरज जो है हमें उसकी पोल की तरफ अगर हम देखते हैं, उसके पोल की तरफ अगर हम देखते हैं तो वो लगभग 25 दिन में एक अपना एक चक्कर लगाना कंप्लीट करता है. तो दूसरी तरफ उसके अगर हम इक्वेटर की बात करते हैं, उसके पोल की बात करते हैं तो 35 दिन का समय लगाता है, और उसके विषुववृत्त के ऊपर की बात करते हैं तो वो 25 दिन लगाता है. इससे हमें एक चीज का अंदाजा आ सकता है कि सूरज का जो अपने अक्ष पे घूमने का जो समय है वो अलग अलग है, अलग अलग जगह पे. तो इससे हमें एक चीज निश्चित रूप से पता चलती है कि सूरज जो है वो डिफरेंशियल रोटेशन में जाता है, यानी the matter which is towards the pole of the sun rotates with the different velocity, and the matter which is on the equator of the sun rotates with the different velocity. Now here it is very essential that we understand that sun is not a simple or ordinary kind of a mattered object. Sun is neither a solid, neither a liquid, neither a gas. It is a fourth state of a matter called as an plasma. Now plasma is something that comes only in when the temperature is of the order of thousands of Kelvin, and that's the reason sun at the 6000 degree centigrade, we see the matter on the sun is only made up of a plasma, and because of that particular plasma, the rotation when the sun is about to take, it will have a differential rotation, and because of the differential rotation having a tremendously huge temperature, and we all know it, all these matter is made up of some charges. If electron, it is a negatively charged, if it is a proton, it is a positively charged, and gives rise to understand that this is the highly charged particle being on the sun will definitely undergo the variety of the electromagnetic or electrodynamic actions or electrodynamic processes. And that gives rise to understand that sun becomes, and very important for all of us to understand that sun doesn't really remain a very simple to understand. Now if you look at the orbital characteristic, as like our earth revolves around the sun within a 365 days. As far as the sun is concerned, sun will revolve around the center of a galaxy, and we all know we are part of the Milky Way galaxy. And that's very obvious that the sun also moves around the center of galaxy. Now look at the period, look at the time that it requires to complete the one revolution around the center of the galaxy. Then it comes around thousands of million years, or rather if we look into the more detail, 2025 to 2.25 to 2.50 10 raised to 8, which makes around about 2000 million years, or rather 225 to 250 million years to complete the one rotation. It's enormously high. That means if you look at even the life which has come onto the earth, especially in terms of a human being, then we have not even complete half of the rotation or the revolution of the sun around the center of galaxy. Now look at the velocity. The velocity of the sun when it's moving around the center of galaxy, it is enormously high, that is 220 kilometers per second. Now these numbers gives us a really mammoth amount of idea that how vast our universe is and how vast our own solar system is. So this gives to make us realize that when the sun is revolving around the center of galaxy with a tremendously high speed and we are part of the sun, so we automatically revolves around the center of galaxy along with the sun. So if an addition of velocity, if you can just consider, then it is enormously high speeds that we are moving into the cosmos. And it is very difficult for us to realize that because of very simple understanding that we are actually revolving in the universe in a vacuum. So as long as there is a vacuum and all the material which is surrounded by us are at very huge distances, about billions and billions of kilometers away from us, that really does not make us feel that we are actually moving in the universe. Now, if we try to compare the sun with among the other stars, अगर हम सूरज को बाकी के तारों के मुकाबले अगर हम जानने की कोशिश करते हैं, तो इस आपके स्लाइड में आपको दिखाई देगा कि सूरज जो है वो बिल्कुल ही ऑर्डिनरी प्रकार का तारा है। यानी अगर हम देखेंगे सूरज को, तो सूरज जो है वो लगभग जी टाइप स्टार में कहा जाता है, क्योंकि इसका सतह का तापमान लगभग 6000 डिग्री केल्विन है, यानी इसको जी टाइप स्टार कहते हैं। लेकिन अगर हम बाकी तारों की तुलना करेंगे तो हमारे पास ओ, बी, ए टाइप के अलग अलग तारे हैं जिनका सतह का तापमान जो 10,000 से लेके 30,000 केल्विन से ऊपर चला जाता है। ये सिर्फ आपको ये समझाने की कोशिश करने के लिए स्लाइड रखी हैं ताकि आपको अंदाजा आ जाए कि सूरज और बाकी तारों की जब हम कल्पना करते हैं तो सूरज एक बहुत ही ऑर्डिनरी तारा हमें महसूस होता है, बट वाकई में वो हमारे लिए समझने के लिए बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट भी है। जहां तक तारों का हम वर्गीकरण की बात करते हैं तो उनके सतह के तापमान के ऊपर हम इनको वर्गीकरण किया जा सकता है, क्लासिफाई किया जा सकता है, जो उनके सतह के तापमान के ऊपर निर्धारित है। यानी हम ओ से लेके एम टाइप के तारे को हम मान सकते हैं, वो सब उनके सरफेस टेम्परेचर पे डिपेंड करता है। दूसरा उसका एक क्लास कहा जाता है जिसको हम ल्यूमिनोसिटी क्लासेस कहते हैं। ल्यूमिनोसिटी क्लासेस को अगर हम छोटी कल्पना करें कि बहुत बड़ा वॉल्यूम में अगर छोटा सा मास अवेलेबल है तो डेंसिटी इसकी बहुत कम होगी। यानी अगर एक छोटी सी कल्पना करें कि बहुत बड़े घर में सिर्फ एक ही आदमी रहता है, तो उस तरीके के घर को अगर हम सुपर जायंट या बहुत बड़ा घर कह सकते हैं, और जहां पे जितना घर और उसी के आसपास अगर कंपैरेटिवली लोग रहते तो उसको हम जायंट प्रकार के या तारे कह सकते हैं या एक ऑर्डिनरी तारे कह सकते हैं। और कुछ ऐसी भी तारे होते हैं जिसमें बहुत ही कम जगह में बहुत सारा द्रव्यमान उसके अंदर छुपा होता है, उसको हम ड्वार्फ तरीके के तारे कहते हैं। सो बेसिकली टू मेक यू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट आर द डिफरेंट ल्यूमिनोसिटी क्लासेस, then it becomes important for all of us to know the density of the matter. In fact, the right hand side picture gives you the idea. This is in the luminosity classification. If you consider the density of the matter in the star, then if you look at the small white line that is coming and trying to give you the understanding that sun is sitting at very bottom of this comparative volumetric scale. Now in this volumetric scale, you realize the sun is actually a very compact star. That means the star which is tremendously highly dense matter which is consisting in the sun in comparison to the rest of the stars that you could see. So it is very important for all of us to make understand that sun is a highly compact star, but it is very essential that this compactness of the sun is actually significant to understand that why sun goes into the variety of complications. Now when we talk about the atmosphere of the sun, we are talking about the atmosphere of the sun. That means the area of the sun above the surface of the sun, we call it as an atmosphere. जैसे हमारे धरती को एटमॉस्फेयर है, जहां से ट्रोपोस्फियर, स्ट्रेटोस्फियर, आइनोस्फियर, मेसोस्फियर, आइनोस्फियर जैसे अलग अलग परतें होती है, उसी प्रकार से सूरज के ऊपर का भी तापमान को हमें जानने की जरूरत होगी, क्योंकि हमें जब सूरज के बारे में ज्यादा अध्ययन करना होगा तो ये सब चीजों को हमें जानना जरूरी होता है। तो अगर हम सूरज के वातावरण की अगर हम कल्पना करते हैं तो हमें पता चलता है कि सूरज के वातावरण जो है वो तीन चीजों में बटा हुआ है। सबसे जो पहली लेयर है जहां पे सूरज जो है उसकी सतह को अगर हम देखते हैं, जिसको अगर हम ऑन एन एवरेज सूरज को देखने की कोशिश करते हैं, या तो उगता हुआ सूरज या डूबता हुआ सूरज, तो वो जो परत हमें दिखाई देती है उसको हम फोटोस्फीयर कहते हैं। और जैसे ही फोटोस्फीयर के ऊपर की परत की बात करते हैं, जो हमें आम तौर पे नहीं दिखाई देता, वी कैनॉट सी द लेयर कॉल्ड एज एन क्रोमोस्फीयर, नंबर वन बिकॉज विच इज अ वेरी वेरी थीन layer of the size of about 2000 kilometer. At the distance of Earth, which is of 15 crore kilometers, the 2000 becomes almost negligible for all of us to get the idea. That's why this particular layer is possible to be seen only during the total solar eclipse. Either it is naturally occurring solar eclipses that for common man to see the chromosphere, of course with the proper protection to your eyes, or otherwise you will have to have artificial solar eclipses that we nowadays been using for studying the sun through the ground based observatories. Now the outermost layer of the sun, which is the extreme on the higher side of the sun's atmosphere, we call it as an corona. The highest, if we look at the distance, let us say some millions of kilometers away from the sun, the last layer of the sun's atmosphere stars, which is called as a corona. And of course, corona is another layer which you can't see on an average onto the sun. As very simple, because the matter density of the sun is very low at the distance of a corona, and we can't see neither a chromosphere, we can't see even a corona, because of the density of the matter, which is very very less as compared to the density of the matter at the photosphere and the energy released from the photosphere. Now, if we will go little more details about the photosphere, that is the layer which we on an average see rising and setting sun. अगर हम ऐसे सूरज को देखने की कोशिश करते हैं तो हमें ये जो येलो कलर का सूरज दिखाई देता है, पीला कलर का सूरज दिखाई देता है, उसका मुख्य कारण है क्योंकि ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा रेडिएशन जो है सूरज वो पीले कलर में एनर्जी भेजता है या निकलती है उससे, इसकी वजह से हमें वो सूरज येलो कलर में दिखाई देता है। अभी हमें यहाँ पे मुख्य तौर पे क्या जानना होगा, तो फोटोस्फीयर एक ऐसी परत है सूरज के ऊपर, हम जितनी भी बातें सूरज के बारे में करते हैं, जैसे हम कहते हैं कि सूरज में मैग्नीशियम है, कैल्शियम है, अलग अलग प्रकार के मेटल्स हैं, सो एवरीथिंग दैट वी टॉक अबाउट द सन as an star which has the enormous amount of metals available into the star. So every of this metal that we talk about is not available inside the sun, but it is available in the photosphere region of the sun. Again, it is very essential to understand that all these metals are not in the form that we can ordinarily think of as a solid. No, not at all. All this matter is, all these metals are present in the sun's photosphere in the ionic phase. It is in the different ionization lines that we could see onto the photosphere of the sun. That's why if you try to see the picture, you will see the large amount of absorption lines. In fact, if you remember in our school days, we have studied the Kirchhoff absorption line or Fraunhofer absorption line. All these lines are actually occurred into the photosphere region of the sun, and all these radiation, if we look at the band that is being shown in the optical range from 400 to 700 nanometer, all those dark lines that we see are actually present in the photosphere of the sun. So it is very important for all of us to know that whenever we talk about the sun having enormously high metals, those metals are available into the photosphere. Now this is another picture. I mean, really not going to go details into the each and every slides in more details because of the time that we have. But it is essential that we talk about these pictures, the things that you see into the screen. If you look at the picture about the photosphere, this is the this is the image of the photosphere, which you can say the highly zoomed in image of the sun. And by looking at this particular picture, you can very easily feel that this is something like a bubbling of a matter which is happening onto the surface or happening at that particular position. And exactly, these are all, we call it as an granules. This is called the granulation process, in which the material from the bottom which is coming up will come onto the surface and burst, the energy will release, and again the matter will go down. It's to give you the small analogy, it's nothing but like an boiling of an water. जैसे हम गर्म पानी को उबलते हुए नजर आते हैं कि बुलबुले नीचे से एनर्जी लेके आते हैं और ऊपर आके सरफेस पे आके फूट जाते, एनर्जी रिलीज होती हैं बाष्प के रूप में, और फिर वो पानी ठंडा होने की वजह से नीचे चला जाता है, फिर गर्म होता है. This is the process of granulation that we see onto the surface of the sun, that we always see that photos, and these granules are not long living. It lives only for a certain amount of minutes, and that is the reason that we could see that these granules have a tremendous amount of energy which is released when it comes and bursts onto the surface of the sun. The second layer of the sun's atmosphere, called as a chromosphere, if you look at this picture, here you will see the very, at the very edge region of the sun. Of course, this is the picture of the total solar eclipse. The dark, or rather the complete black spot or black colored, image that you see is actually nothing but the moon. And border areas of the sun that you are able to see as a pink line, or rather the pinkish colored area, these are called the prominences. And this is the prominences are erupted that you could see in the chromosphere region, which is about 2000 in a thickness. जो 2000 किलोमीटर की इसकी चौड़ाई होती है, वहां से इस प्रकार के emissions हमें आते हुए नजर आते हैं. जैसे मैंने कहा कि ये आमतौर पे हमें नहीं दिखाई देता है, उसके लिए हमें टोटल सोलर इक्लिप्स जैसी घटनाओं का वेट करना पड़ता है. बट यहाँ से निकलने वाली जो रोशनी है वो हम उसी समय देख सकते हैं, और ये जो रीजन्स है यहाँ से जो एनर्जी निकलती है वो हमें अच्छी तरीके से जानना और समझना जरूरी होता है. इसी क्रोमोस्फीयर को अगर हम थोड़े से डिटेल्स में जाकर देखने की कोशिश करेंगे तो हमें ये कोरोनोग्राफ से इस तरीके की चीजें या क्रोमोस्फीयर के रीजन में हमें दिखाई देता है, जिसको हम फिलामेंट्री स्ट्रक्चर के रूप में भी जाना जाता है. और ये जो फ्लेम्स की तरह आपको दिखाई दे रहे हैं, ये सिर्फ 5-10 मिनट के लिए ही रहते हैं, और ये क्रोमोस्फीयर का रीजन है जो हमें दिखाई देता है. अब ये जो है सूरज के बाहर की परत, यानी सूरज के बाहर की जो परत होती है या सबसे बाहर वाली परत जिसको हम कोरोना कहते हैं, उसकी मैटर डेंसिटी यानी उसकी जो घनत्व वो बहुत ही कम होता है, और वो कम घनत्व के कारण हमें आमतौर पे ये जो रीजन है हमें नहीं दिखाई देता है. जैसे मैंने कहा कि ये दोनों परतों को, क्रोमोस्फीयर और कोरोना को देखने के लिए हमें पूर्ण सूर्य ग्रहण की आवश्यकता होती है. और जैसे जब भी पूर्ण सूर्य ग्रहण होगा तो हमें इस प्रकार का एक होलो टाइप जो एक वोरा हमें दिखाई देता है, वो कोरोना है. यानी ये लो डेंसिटी मैटर से वहां से रेडिएशंस जो निकलते हैं वो हमें दिखाई देता है. यहाँ पे मैं ये जरूर कहना चाहूंगा कि हमेशा जब भी सोलर इक्लिप्स होता है, ये जरूरी नहीं है कि ये जो कोरोना का जो शेप है वो हमेशा ऐसा ही हमें दिखाई दे, क्योंकि ये सब कुछ डिपेंड होता है सूरज के ऊपर होने वाली अलग अलग चुंबकीय क्षेत्रों का निर्माण, उससे एनर्जी को जो रिलीज होती है, वहां से एनर्जी जो निकलती है, उसके ऊपर इसका स्ट्रक्चर निर्भर होता है. तो इस प्रकार से हम इसको समझने की कोशिश कर सकते हैं. यहाँ पे जो नेक्स्ट स्लाइड दिखाने की कोशिश की है, यहाँ पे आप देखेंगे, यहाँ पे आप देखने की कोशिश करेंगे कि जो मटेरियल आपको दिखाई दे रहा है कोरोना, वो कोरोनल जो रीजन है वहां पे इसकी अलग अलग डेंसिटी मैटर को फ्लो करता है. इनफैक्ट इफ यू लुक एट दिस पर्टिकुलर पिक्चर नाउ, दिस इज वेरी वेरी essential for all of us to understand. In fact, if at all we try to give an importance to the mission Aditya, then these slides become an very essential for all of us to understand. Now, if you look at this particular plot, on the left hand side or on the y-axis you see the temperature, on the x-axis you see the distance as it moves from the photosphere and goes outer part of the sun. That means what is important in this particular graph to realize is that, I mean, it's a logical actually to some extent. As you go away from the photosphere, the temperature is reducing to some extent. Again, to some extent it is increasing. But if you look at the temperature on the y-axis and the distance that you are going at, the coronal distance, which is about millions of kilometers away from the surface of the sun, the temperature is suddenly ranging into millions of Kelvin. And this is the real surprise. Even after, let us say, and 75 to 80 years of space exploration, we are still not yet discovered the real reason of high temperature in the corona. That means the surface temperature of the sun, we have just seen the surface temperature of the sun is about 6000 Kelvin. And if you look at the temperature at the corona, it goes into millions of Kelvin. That means enormously very high. I mean, it's uncomparable. It's something which is astonishing. We cannot imagine how it is possible. जहां से एनर्जी निकल रही है, the energy which is getting released from the photosphere, which is at a 6000 Kelvin temperature, but when it comes to a millions of kilometers away from the surface of the sun, however, logically the temperature should be reduced, should be dropped down, and could be order of few thousand or maybe even on the order of 1000 Kelvin. But it becomes a millions of Kelvin. That means more than 10 lakh to 15 lakh degree Kelvin temperature. And this is the real surprise, that even after the so much of advancement of technology, the instruments that we have not really understood the processes by which at such a distance, how can a sun show a enormously high temperature. In fact, this is another graph which talks about this graph is consist of various parameters. One is about the density of the matter, temperature of the matter, temperature of the region at the various places, as well as the distances that you cover into this particular slide. So this particular slide gives you the idea how the density variation is there as over you go from the surface to the different regions of the corona. So you can very easily understand that the matter density is drastically dropping down and the temperature is tremendously increasing high. This graph gives you that much of sufficient idea. And this is all about the atmosphere of the sun. Now this is something which is very essential here to make you understand that in this particular process, what is happening is sun has a temperature of 6000 at the surface. The temperature at the core of the sun is enormously high. That means the material which is at the core of the sun is coming toward the surface of the sun. And in fact, here it is very essential to just make you understand the light that is coming to us. It takes only 8 minutes, provided when it starts the journey from the surface of the sun. सो सूरज के सतह से निकलने के बाद रोशनी को हमारे यहाँ पहुंचने के लिए सिर्फ 8 मिनट का समय लगता है। लेकिन अब हम यहाँ पे देखने की कोशिश करेंगे कि जो 8 मिनट में आने वाला सूरज का प्रकाश है वो उसी के सतह पर पहुंचने के लिए, क्योंकि ये जो प्रकाश है वो उसके सतह पे नहीं बनता है, वो उसके केंद्र में जाके बनता है। द लाइट दैट इज बीइंग जनरेटेड इज एट द कोर ऑफ द सन, विच इज एक्चुअली टू बी स्पीकिंग फ्रॉम द surface to the center of the sun, which is only 7 lakh kilometers. If you consider the velocity of light, logically it should take only 2.5 seconds to come onto the surface of the sun when the energy is getting generated at the core of the sun. Now it is very essential that why the sun is become so important. In fact, this internal structure will give you the idea. In fact, I'm not going to go into more details about these slides because it will require a large amount of physics to be considered, and it will become a bore also to all of you. So now, to understand the internal structure of sun, there are various ways to know this internal structure of the sun. Just let me give you a small analogy. As far as we, the people living onto the surface of the earth, are concerned, we talk about internal structure of the earth as a crust, then the mantle, and then core of the earth. And we say that about 500 kilometer we have a crust, then below 500 to about 1500 kilometer there is a mantle. Now, in my information also, and perhaps this will be true for everyone, that we have never come across any news, any Discovery Channel, Geographic, National Geographic, any kind of a channel that we have actually dig down to the internal part of the earth and we realize up to 5000 degree there is a certain differences, and after 500 kilometer we see the different material. It is not the case. We really do not do that. But then how do we know about the internal structure of the earth? And perhaps we all know that we are able to understand the internal structure of the earth based on the seismology, based on the based on the earthquake waves which are being generated and released when the energy released inside the surface, inside the earth, and we measure this in a various different ways, and we realize the difference into the structure of the earth. And basically what is important here to understand as far as Earth is concerned, because the matter densities are different as you go inside the surface of the sun, and that gives rise to make us understand that there is a crust up to 500 kilometer, then we have a mantle, because the matter density in the crust is different than the matter density in the mantle. And all these studies is possible based on the seismology, the waves that are being generated inside the earth, energy release, and based on that, and these all seismic waves are nothing but the sound waves. Sound requires the medium to travel, and based on those studies we understand the internal structure of that. And exactly similar kind of an understanding you can extend to the sun. When we talk about the sun, we call it as an helioseismology. In terms of understanding helium seismology, these are all also again becomes an sound waves, and we all know sound waves requires the medium. In this sun also, there is a variation in the matter density right from the surface of the sun down to the center of the sun. And because of that, we are able to distinguish, we are able to make the differentiation about the internal structure of the sun. The next slide will tell you that this is how the structure of the sun is. The outermost layer that we call about is called the photosphere. So below the photosphere we see the convective zone. Now convective zone is very easy to understand. It requires a convection process. That means the energy transport happens through the convection process, and we all know what is meant by convection is nothing but the boiling of a water in which the matter goes physically from bottom to top. So this convective zone also, the matter goes down in energy when when the bubbles are burst up onto the surface, then it becomes a colder region, it goes down again, the energy is being taken up, it comes out, burst, energy release. So the process in which the material is actually transporting from bottom to top. Now below the convective zone we call it as a radiative zone. Now here it is very essential to understand there are three basic processes in which the energy transportation happen. One is a convection that we have seen here, another is a radiation process in which the energy is transported in the form of a radiation. And in this particular region that you see as in yellow color, this is the radiative zone in which the energy transport is happening in the form of a radiation. Now, where do these energies, rather the lights are being generated? That is where the white region that you see is the core of the sun. So, as of now, whatsoever the hydrogen that we talk about the sun, as of today, there is a 75% of the hydrogen which is inside the sun, which is sitting at that white region of the sun's internal part. Now there the conversion of hydrogen to helium is happening. Now why it is so? Because of the simple physics laws that we study called as an ideal gas equation. What we call it as a we know that the energy as a PV is equal to RT. There is a relation between the pressure and the temperature, which is directly proportional. That means as you come down to the core of the sun, the pressure is increasing. As the pressure is increasing, the temperature will also increase. And there will be certain amount of pressure and temperature balance has to be there, and this gives rise to the formation of nucleosynthesis process in which conversion of hydrogen to helium starts. That means it requires millions of degree Kelvin temperature to start such processes. So at the center of the sun, at the core of the sun, the temperature is enormously high because of the high amount of pressure which is there, and gives rise to the conversion of hydrogen into helium. So the energy transportation is happening through the radiation and the convection process. So the light that I was talking about reaches to it within 8 minutes is only when it leaves the surface of the sun. But that radiation need to come to the surface of the sun, and the process of transportation from the core to the surface of the sun, which is actually 7 lakh kilometer, but it requires, you will be surprised to know, the time taken by these photons to reach onto the surface of the sun is in the order of millions of years. That means लाखों साल लगते हैं. जो प्रकाश हमारे पास सिर्फ 8 मिनट में पहुंचता है सूरज के सतह से निकलने के बाद, वही प्रकाश जब उसके केंद्र में बनता है, वहां से उसके सतह पर आने के लिए लाखों साल लगते हैं. ये थोड़ा सा सरप्राइजिंग है. वो इसका मुख्य कारण वही है जो मैंने शुरू में कहा था कि जो सूरज है, जो प्रकार का तारा हमारा सूरज है, वो बहुत ही कॉम्पैक्ट तरीके का तारा है। यानी वहां का जो मटेरियल है वो इतना कॉम्पैक्ट तरीके से भरा हुआ है कि वहां से जब फोटोन निकलने की कोशिश करता है वो इतने आसानी से नहीं निकल पाता। इसके लिए फिर आपको कई सारी काइनेटिक थ्योरी ऑफ गैसेस पढ़ना पड़ेगा, कई सारी प्रकार के थर्मोडायनामिक्स पढ़ना पड़ेगा, ताकि आप जान सकेंगे कि इतना समय क्यों लगता है। So to important part here to realize, make you convinced that the energy, though it get released, or the energies are being produced at the core of the sun, it requires millions of years to reach onto the surface of the sun. That simple understanding can make us convinced that if this is what is the processes happens inside the sun, then it becomes very important for all of us to study the sun in more details, because all complications of physics comes into the picture. You will have to understand the relations between the pressure and the volume, pressure and the temperature, the energy release, the kind of charges which are there, all the process of electromagnetic processes, what we call the electrodynamics. Every electrodynamics comes into the picture, and because of that, the huge sun becomes so complicated for all of us to understand. And all the questions which are answered today, the one questions I have highlighted, that why do the temperature of the order of 10 raised to 6, that is millions of Kelvin, is at the distance of millions of kilometers away from the sun, is a one challenge. But that is not the only challenge in which we are interested to understand, but there are various processes, because as you go up, you will realize sun releases a huge amount of energy in the form of a solar wind. Huge amount of material is getting released, because we all know sun is made up of a charged particle, and when it is a charged particle, electric field will be associated with it. When electric field is associated and that electric field is going into the differential velocity, gives rise to the formation of magnetic field, and the whole process becomes more complicated. And because of that, the sun becomes a magnetic in nature, and it gives rise to make us understand that sun is an important to be studied very thoroughly. This is a small picture that you could see. This is the core of the sun, and I'm not really going in details about it, but this picture can tell you, this slide can tell you, the temperature at the core is about 15 million Kelvin, and that is what is the temperature required to generate the nuclear processes or the nucleosynthesis processes at the core of the sun. And it is fastest rotating part of the sun. And of course, as I said, the high rate of conversion, which is conversion of hydrogen to helium. There are two possibilities of happening hydrogen to helium conversion. One is called the PP chain, that is proton-proton chain, and another process is called the carbon-nitrogen-oxygen cycle, which is a CNO cycle. But as far as the sun is concerned, we don't have to bother about the CNO cycle, because CNO requires a further pressure, that means further amount of energy, further amount of temperature to go into the CNO cycle. But as far as the sun-like stars are concerned, it goes into the PPGN reaction. You don't have to go into all the details about it, but this particular slide can convince you that there is a requirement of 4 protons to generate, rather 4 protons are needed to convert that into the helium. And in the process, you realize the extra protons which are required will get back again in the chemical reaction that you see here. And if you look at the reaction rates, then 10 raised to 37 such reactions has to happen within 1 second. So you can imagine millions of tons of material is getting converted inside the sun, and this simple mathematical formulation gives us understand that sun, the rate of reaction and the material which is available in the sun is sufficiently been calculated, and give us understand that sun is not going to be there forever, but it will completes its cycle in a days to come. And that is the calculation makes us understand that sun is going to be there in the called as in the process of what we call as a main sequence, that is conversion of helium into hydrogen into helium, will continue for about 4.5 billion. But after that, sun will become a red giant, and then it will end up in a different planetary nebula, and it will end up its life in the formation of a white dwarf. This is another picture that you talk about. This is called a CNO cycle, or if you know in the process of in the subject like a chemistry, we largely call it as a CNO cycle. And in this CNO cycle, CNO acts like a catalyst. They don't take part into the process, but they act as a catalyst. So huge amount of again hydrogen. If you look at here, the hydrogen is part of the conversion of hydrogen to helium, and this carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen are just helping them as a catalyst. So this CNO process is another process in which hydrogen to helium process, conversion of hydrogen to helium happens. But this CNO cycle cannot be applied to the star like sun. So the highly massive stars like O-type star, like an B-type star, these kind of stars goes into the CNO cycle in which hydrogen to helium conversion happens, but not in the star like our sun. But still there is a small percentage of the hydrogen to helium conversion also happens through the CNO cycle. Now this is the radiative zone which we talked about after the core. This is where the radiation transportation happens in the form of a radiation, as we know in the physics that there is a three-way of transportation of energy: radiation, convection, and conduction. Conduction doesn't come into the picture because we have no physical, we do not have anything called as a solid, so conduction doesn't happen in the whole of the sun. Only radiative and convective process becomes an important. So this is the region in which it happens. Now this is the convective. If you see the loop-like structure here, this is the convection in which the material transportation happens from the bottom to the top. These are the certain amount of pictures that you could see here. Now if you remember what I spoke for last few minutes is, when the sun is a highly magnetized, rather highly charged particle object, then being a charged particle, there will be having an electric field, gives rise to generation of magnetic field because of the differential rotation of the sun, and because of the complex physics comes into the picture. Let me repeat that electrodynamic processes happens onto the surface of the sun, or rather inside the sun, and that gives rise to huge amount of energy is being generated onto the surface, and all that energy will be released from the surface of the sun in the form of solar flares, in the form of prominences, in the form of huge amount of material that you could see, and that gives rise to the formation of sunspot. And sunspot is nothing but the process in which the sun goes into the cycle. Now you will feel like, why do the sunspots looks like a dark? It looks like a dark because the region where the sunspots are formed are less in temperature in comparison to the temperature surrounded nearby. So this is not that it is something that there is a hole which is being there, but it is a comparatively low temperature areas onto the surface of the sun. It is very essential for all of us to note that these formation of sunspots are periodic in nature. That is 11-year cycle. That means after 11 years, the amount of sunspots occurring onto the sun will be high, and then it will become a low. So after 11 years, it becomes higher and lower in the number. And here is a small picture which gives you the idea. Now look at this picture. I mean, if you look at the darkest of the darkest portion here, then it becomes the size of the 80,000 kilometer. That means how many earths will be required, because one earth diameter is about 13,000 kilometer. If 13,000 kilometer is the one earth, then it requires more than 5 to 7 times the size of the earth. So sunspots are hugely sized sunspot. But to be frankly speaking, as many sunspots are being formed onto the surface of the sun, we should realize, we should get ourselves convinced that this is the most difficult and critical part for the sun, and of course for us, because as many number of sunspots are being formed onto the surface, that much of energy is released, that much of material is being thrown into the interplanetary system, and that becomes a huge challenge for all of us. And when we talked about the falling of the grid gets failure, in one of the picture in the beginning I have shown, these kind of challenges will be very high when the sun will have a highly magnetic cycle, and such formation of sunspots are there in the large in the number. So it becomes very important to keep a track of this formation of sunspot. How do the sunspots are being formed? This picture can tell you sun is having a rotation, and as I said, sun is a plasma object which is made up of plasma. So it does not have a uniform velocity on its axis of rotation. The material onto the polar region moves slower as compared to the equator and goes right into the formation of magnetic loops and gets break down and falls onto the surface of the sun, and such kind of sunspots are being formed that you could see from the left hand side picture. The right hand side picture can be generated. Now this is one of the important diagram which I would like to point it out. The German, rather the British no, scientist Maunder, along with his wife, when they started plotting the number of sunspots in the history, especially from the period of 1645 to 1715, then they realized during that period there is a sudden drop of what we call it as a formation of sunspot. So we call it as a Maunder minimum. So, and if we plot such kind of a sunspot in this particular time frame, and it appears to us like there is a butterfly which is moving, and this which is a very famous diagram, we call it as a Maunder's butterfly diagram, gives rise to understand that there is a cyclic process. That means sun goes into the cyclic motion of a change in the magnetic field every after 22 years of reversal. Now, ultimately, all this complication becomes very important for all of us to note and understand, because once the huge amount of energy is being released, huge amount of material formation happens onto the surface of the sun, that all that material will be thrown in the form of a solar wind. That material will come into the planetary system, and if you remember, after the Mercury and the Venus, there is Earth. We are at the third place from the sun. Then it becomes very important for all of us to note that all material will come into the planetary system, and we should thanks for our magnetosphere, which is protecting Earth from all these hazardous material which is coming toward the surface of the Earth. Now these two pictures can give you the idea that these pictures are called as an aurora. These pictures are not cannot be seen in the region like us. We live in a tropical region from 23 degrees north and 23 degrees south of the equator. So we people do not see such kind of an auroras, but if you go to the higher latitude regions like Greenland and the other countries, that these kind of phenomena that you can very easily see, and these pictures are somewhere in the midnight 1 a.m., 12:30, 2 a.m., and such kind of phenomena that you could see. And seeing such kind of auroras, though they appears to be enjoyable, all of a sudden in the midnight 2 o'clock, you see the entire sky is glowed. Glowing sky is something which appears to us as a very fantastic phenomena. But however, that gives rise to make us understand there is a huge amount of energy is released, huge amount of magnetic energies of magnetic the field generation happened and is being thrown into the planetary system. And these two regions, as you see, this what we call it as that those material comes towards the surface or upper atmosphere of this Earth, which is in the ionospheric region. That happens only at the two places what we call as a magnetic pole. So it is very important for all of us also to remember there is a difference between the geographical north of the Earth and there is a difference between the magnetic north of the Earth. These two are different. So wherever the magnetic poles north and south for the Earth is concerned, this is the region where you could see such kind of auroras happening in these two different regions. These are small animations. Right now I cannot show you here this animation, but I could have shown you that how this becomes an important. Let me see if I can show you. Yeah, it is running. So this is the solar wind. This is the material, generate onto the surface. This is the huge material will get thrown into the planetary system, and that you could see here that this material is getting thrown into the surface of the, and it comes towards the, what you call it, you could see that this material is coming into the, towards the Earth, and gives rise to understand that this kind of a material, when it comes to the surface of the towards the Earth, this material gives rise to formation of such auroras at the two different places. This picture also you could see this material coming towards the Earth. Material you could see here, This material is coming towards the earth, and we are being protected by the earth's magnetosphere, and this is the two regions where such kind of auroras are being seen onto the higher latitude region. Now this is where I will try to show you this formation of sunspot. Now this is what is the sun is. This is what is the sun is. This is the magnetic field lines moving from north to south, and because of the differential rotation it will continue, and what point of time they will break down, and as it breaks down it falls onto the surface of the sun, and when it falls down you see these kind of sunspots are being formed. So this is another kind of an animation or a simulation that you see here. This is how these sunspots are being formed onto the surface of the sun, and this is where the energy will be released from the sun. So this is how the sunspots are being formed, and in the next slide we saw that this is how the solar wind is being generated and the energy is being thrown into the planetary region, and earth being at the third place, that material comes towards it. All these magnetic flux lines that you see are only because of the earth's magnetosphere, and all that material coming towards the earth will get what we call it as a recombination process only at the two location where the magnetic north and south is there, and here this is how the auroras are being formed onto the northern and similar onto the southern part of the earth. We called it as an aurora borealis and aurora australis when we talk about the two different hemisphere of the earth. So though this looks very fantastic for all of us as a common man to see, but this is not very good situation as far as the understanding the nature of the sun is concerned. So we should make us realize that when you see such kind of an auroras are being occurring, that means sun is going in a highly magnetic cycle and releasing huge amount of energy. Now all that energy coming towards the earth will have a tremendously high energy, and this has a capacity to destroy anything that will come on its way. And to make you understand, nowadays any country who is sending the satellite into the space, into the any kind of an orbit that we talk about, whether it is a polar, geosynchronous, unsynchronous, any kind of a orbit we talk about, now every satellite is a highly sophisticated, developed in such a way that all those satellites can be protected from such a kind of a devastating material which is coming towards the satellite. So we have a protection now. We can protect for a certain period of time. We can keep our payloads covered under the shield, and as the event pass on, we again can come up and rejoin the structure and the satellite start working. Now, by this small few slides, I hope you must have realized that sun is becoming very, very essential for all of us to understand. And if you just do the small study, we'll realize right from the time of Sputnik in 1957. In fact, the first observation about the sun has started right from the Sputnik. And it is very easy to know that sun is one of the important source of energy, and we need to have a very cautious understanding about the how the sun becomes and how our satellite has to be protected from it. So in the history, if you just read the space history, there are more than 299 different satellites which has been studying about the sun. Now you may say, if we already have 300 satellites, then why do India needs to have the another satellite? Yeah, it's very pertinent question, but it is very essential to understand that every satellite, every payload, every instrument will have a specific job to perform. So as far as our mission Aditya is concerned, we will have it's our own satellite in which the rights of the data will be available with all our partner agencies who are developing those payloads. And this mission Aditya is one of the important mission that we should understand about and we should know about. So what I would like to make you understand here, that mission Aditya is something which is getting planned, rather it is planned. In fact, we got the first approval about this Aditya long back in year 2008. And in 2015-16, certain amount of money was released by the government of India to start development of the payload and the instrument. And it is very essential to make note here that this entire satellite is getting developed in-house. That means all our research institutions within the country are working on the various aspect of the payload, various instruments of the Aditya. And when it was decided where to be kept it, then it was decided that it will be kept at Lagrangian point L1. Now here it is very essential to know why the Lagrangian L1 was been selected. Now Lagrangian is one of the physicists who has with the classical mechanics he has discovered there are various points. If you consider the two body problem or a three body problem, if you consider two body problem, there is L1 L2 that you or L3 that you could see, and when you add on like a sun earth moon, then there are L5 different points which been discovered by the Lagrangian. And what is the importance of these different points is the gravitational force of both the object. Like as far as L1 is concerned, the gravitational force of the earth as well as the gravitational force of the sun gets equated. That is the point we call it as a null point. That means anything that we keep at the L1 position will remain at L1, and the distance of L1 is about 1.5 million kilometers towards the sun. That means nearly 15 lakh kilometers away from the surface of the sun, and that is the beauty that we have got it. Now another important point to understand at 15 lakh kilometer distance. Now at 15 lakh kilometer we call it as a Lagrangian point, which is very far away from the surface of the earth, but the another beauty is that the satellite will monitor the sun continuously 24/7 because no shadow of the earth will fall on this particular point. So it becomes an important for all of us to note that L1 will be in a position to observe the sun 24/7, and that is what is the essential for all of us to get the data, because we need to observe the sun 24/7 to understand the nature, to understand the physical processes happening into the various regions of the sun, whether it is corona, whether it is a chromosphere, what are the physical processes happening into the photosphere. In fact, the internal structure also becomes an important for all of us. So our mission Aditya will also carry about 7 different payloads, and to just mention certain these payloads, what are those? Then these are VELC, that is visible emission line coronagraph. Now these different elements or these different instruments have a specific work to be performed. So as far as the visible emission line coronagraph is concerned, it will study the diagnostic parameters of the solar corona, and will also talk about where do the coronal mass ejection happen. Now you may wonder what is coronal mass ejection. If you remember the certain amount of slide which I was trying to show you, which I was trying to make you understand, in that you must have realized there is a huge amount of energy was getting released, and it is a huge amount of what we call as a highly energetic particles, like huge flow was being thrown from the surface of the sun. So it becomes huge material getting transported. So this ejection, this kind of an solar flare study becomes an essential for all of us. So visible emission line coronagraph will perhaps help us in understanding the coronal mass ejection, and which will have a 3 visible and 1 infrared channel placed onto the VELC. We have a solar ultraviolet imaging telescope which will again study the ultraviolet radiation in the chromosphere from 200 to 400 nanometer region. This is getting developed at Ayuka Pune, that is Inter-University Center for Astronomy Astrophysics. Then we have Aditya Solar Wind Particle Experiment. That means we are also going to study the solar wind and how the nature of this how the nature of this solar wind is. Various properties are essential for us to understand. So Aditya Solar Wind Particle Experiment, that is aspects, will help us. Then we have a plasma analyzer package which is getting developed at VESC, that is Vikram Sarabhai Space Center at Trivandrum. This will help us to understand the composition of solar wind. through this PAPA, that is plasma analyzer package of an Aditya. We have SOLEX, that is solar low energy X-ray spectrometer. We have high energy L1 orbiting X-ray spectrometer, and of course a magnetometer. So basically here the point to emphasize is all these payloads have a specific work to be performed when it is up. So all the huge amount of data will be coming to all of us, and once it is launched within a few days time, after certain calibration of all those data processing will be happening, and after that all data will be available to do the science of it. So I think the one of the important aspects of this presentation could be considered that by the time another 1 year or so, we will have enormous amount of data available for all of us to study or to do the investigation about the sun's kind of an material, and perhaps the students who are interested in this kind of work will be in a good position to make use of this data to come up with the new science which is largely been awaiting, and that is where exploring the sun in a more detail becomes an very important. And I would like to emphasize that in the last 20 years time a special branch of astrophysics has emerged called as a space weather. As like as our atmospheric studies becomes an important, and we have a weather forecasting institutions, we also needs to have special understanding about the sun, and it all those studies comes under the space weather and becomes essential that we understand the nature of the sun. Now this is another animation I'm trying to flash here. This animation is actually not an animation. These are the real picture of the sun that you could see. This is the, sorry, it is somehow it is not working here. So we'll skip this, but I will show you the last slide here. The last slide talks about the life cycle of the sun or possible end of the sun. Now, in this process, we have realized how the sun is essential for all of us to understand in more details. And today, where do the sun stand? So, if we look at the life of the sun, half of the life of the sun is over, which is about 4.5 billion years, and almost a similar life is left out for the sun. So another 4 to 4.5 billion years, the sun will not remain as a star, and it will die by its own process of becoming a red giant and then ultimately end up in the planetary nebula, and the remnant which will left out will call as an white dwarf. So this is how the process of sun will be. So it is very essential to understand that as long as we as the humans are going to be on the earth, we have to take precautions because life is precious and we need to understand the behavior of the sun. Otherwise, all the investment that is kept into the space will be at the mercy of the sun's nature. If we do not keep a watch on the sun's nature, we will not be able to predict, we will not be able to understand that when to take a proper precaution, and the great failures or other of similar sort of things are likely to come. And in the fast developing world, it is very essential because we are going into the new kind of an time span. We are coming with the nuclear energy kind of an project. We need to have such kind of an projects to be in the hand. So it becomes very essential for all of us to know that all these things, whatever we see, whatever we have understood, becomes an actually important and essential for all of us to go through it. So I think this is how I was trying to talk to you through this Facebook new kind of an initiative by Atmaram Sanatan Dharma College, through which I tried my level best to come with all of you with the Facebook lecture. I have no idea how it has been received by the people, those who watch this particular lecture, but I'm very happy to get the feedback. If anyone has a certain questions about this presentation, I'm happy to answer. I request that such questions can be routed through Dr. Rajiv Singh sir, so that I can try my level best to answer this. So before I say thank you, once again I would like to say thanks to the principal of Atmaram Sanatan College of under the University of Delhi, Professor Gantosh Kumar Jha, and the Star College Scheme Coordinator, Dr. Rajiv Singh. So thank you so much. We'll come back again as and when is required. Thank you.